So good morning, everyone. It's Dr. Z, Jennifer Zimmerman, and today is actually the 22nd of July. And I hope everyone had a wonderful weekend so far. It has been extremely hot, one of the hottest that has been registered. They actually call it the warmest or the hottest for this on record that we have had in this area. Which brings me to mind that we do have a serious issue with climate change, but we will have time to discuss that in future episodes of Coffee with Dr. Z or sometime during the week because we will be actually attending a town hall that deals with environment and sea level rise this Thursday in South Walton County. But as I said, good morning, and good morning, Mr. Canova, Kate. Hi, thank you. Thank you for sharing a cup of coffee with me today. Today's very important. I know you can't read it. It's I haven't quite figured out how to do this without it being reversed. But today's coffee says something really, really simple. Thou shalt not whine. W-H-I-N-E. Whining. We Americans are good at it, aren't we? Thou shalt not whine. Sounds like one of the 10 commandments. Why is that important? You see, my fellow Americans, we are good at whining, but are we good at taking action? The last year and a half has proven to be probably the most, shall we say, contentious year in our political life. We have seen a lot of marches. I've been here for 25 years. I do not believe I've seen this many protests in such a short period of time. And organized quickly. Millions of women marched across the United States of America and across the globe. Around the world, imagine that. Just a day after the present occupier of the White House was inaugurated. I think that has set the tone for the last 18 months. We have had a lot of concerns, and the resistance is growing. So thou shalt not whine. First and foremost, I just want to make sure that whoever's watching this, the first few minutes that you're watching, there should be a few dates that should be seared into your mind. If you have not registered yet to vote, your time's running out. Florida has closed primaries. If you want change and you believe that Dr. Zimmerman is the perfect candidate to make change in this community or to effectively change the policies that seem to be choking every American at the moment, then please remember this date, July 30th. That's 1 week from now. 1 week. You've got 8 days. If you go to our website, jenniferzimmermanmd.com, pretty simple, jenniferzimmermanmd.com. Go to the bottom right corner and you will see voter information. You can click on that, and depending on which county you're in, you can open that link and it brings you directly to the Supervisor of Elections website. You can check if you're still fully registered. You can also change party affiliation. You can pretty much do anything on that website. But most importantly, do it before July 30th. You cannot vote in the Democratic primary if you have no party affiliation or if you're a Republican. If you believe that we need change, please, July 30th, 8 days from now, is the last day that you can change your party affiliation to being a Democrat. I'm happy to announce that some of my patients have done that. In fact, when we were canvassing in certain neighborhoods, people have told us that because they met me and they believe in what I believe in, they have changed from no party affiliation to being a Democrat so that they can help put me past the primary and get into the general, where the real hard work begins. So remember that date, July 30th. 8 more days. Here's another date to remember. Primary, August 28th. My fellow Democrats, I think this is the first time in a long, long time, if not the very first time, that we actually have a Democratic primary. We actually have a choice between two Democrats. Now, I leave that up to you. You can make a very intelligent decision, but please be informed. Check our websites. Once again, jenniferzimmermanmd.com. You can clearly see who's been in this community serving you, serving the children, serving the families. Someone who has been here, someone who has dedicated her professional life in taking care of the needs of those who need it the most and those who can least afford to be left behind. I can do so much more if you help me get past that primary, because I know that in this crucial time, we need decency, morality, reasoning, but most of all, not only passion, but compassion. We have lost our moral compass as a nation, and we need compassion back in our hearts and in our society. But this is also very important, because if we do not change the makeup of Congress, if we do not send more Democrats into our House, we are on the brink of having a Supreme Court nominee or a Supreme Court that is composed of justices that lean towards removing most of the pillars of our democracy. I'm not trying to sow fear like the other side. I'm just telling the truth. And sometimes truth hurts. If we sit down and do nothing, then you can't whine. Thou shalt not whine. Thou shalt take action. And taking action means to register as a Democrat before July 30th and to vote on August 28th. Here's another thing. The deadline for early voting in the primary is August 28th to the 25th. We have a lot of students who are here for the summer, but who are actually going to be moving to their colleges, and they may not be here on August 28th. That includes my son, who will be a first-time voter as he just turned 18 this summer. He's been canvassing with me, together with our other volunteers, who will also be leaving the area and going to other states. So they know how important it is to do early voting. Once again, August 18th to the 25th. That's the early voting period. And if you don't know when to vote, once again, go to the website, jenniferzimmermanmd.com. Go to the lower right-hand portion of the website, the first page, and you will see voter information. And everything you need to know about these states, when to vote and where to vote and which precinct you have to go to, you can find it in there. I'm not going to confuse you with the other dates because we'll take care of that once we get to the general. I just recently attended a town hall meeting that was organized in order to make sure that we know that Black voters matter. Not black votes matter, but Black voters matter. We can also say that the community's voters matter. What is important? The most important thing that I heard during that town hall was that there seems to be this perception that everyone is on his own. That when we canvass or knock on doors, everyone feels like their votes don't matter anyway, so why even go out? So please, bear in mind when you talk to people, find out exactly why they feel that way. Change the attitude or the perspective. Instead of just asking for their vote, ask why they're not voting, and ask what is it that most concerns them. Because voters need to feel that you're not just there because you want their vote. You're there because you truly want to help them achieve their goals, achieve the dreams. We all feel that we are all deserving of the best. Why not? Why not? But why is it that we feel that only our family deserves the best? Why don't we feel that the next child also deserves the best? That their child deserves the best? That my son is not the only one who deserves the best education? Why don't we make it feel, or why don't we put it out across, that my neighbor's child deserves the best education too? Why does it always feel like one party or certain groups believe that, well, I got insurance, so I don't really know what you're talking about, that healthcare is a mess. I have insurance. My employers pay for it. I'm good. Thank you very much. But you see, we're all in this together. If that person loses his employment, who's going to cover him now? Cobra is expensive. You need to make sure that everyone understands that these elections matter. Because not only is it about healthcare and education and whatever it is that they care about, but it is about lifting the nation up together. Right now, our intelligence community is under attack. It feels like the commander-in-chief of this nation has abandoned them. So for all of you who feel that putting on a uniform guarantees you that the nation will welcome you with warmth when you've done your job, you have to think now, who am I putting this uniform on for? Does the commander-in-chief still have my back? These times are different. These midterm elections really are different. Our rights matter, and our rights are under attack. Please make sure that if you have neighbors who are still on the fence, direct them to our website, direct them to our Facebook page. Whichever way you can direct them, let them make an informed decision. I cannot reach each and every household. I have tried my best. I have canvassed. I have walked the pavement under extreme heat. Yesterday, I think we had more sweat than water. But I'm doing my part. I'm scuffing my shoes. I'm going with my children. We have not gone to the beach. We have gone knocking on every door. Because they believe as strongly as I do that I'm doing this not just for them, but for every child that they know. For the people that they interact with, their classmates, their best friends, our neighbors, whether they are Democrats or Republicans. The problem is the issues that come up now do not just affect one party or another. If reproductive health care is under attack, that means every woman in this country will be under attack. Access to health care is not determined by your party affiliation, and it never should be. If we're working hard for the health care of this nation, why are you pushing back? An educated community means that the level of education in the entire community is elevated. If there are good public schools, that means that the children graduate. They have a higher chance of higher paying jobs, which then elevates the economic status of the community. It raises everything in the community. So why would we not advocate for better education for everyone? If there is less crime, that's because the community is more educated and is able to work effectively. They don't have time to commit crimes. If our children are off the streets because they're in their schools and not in prisons, why wouldn't that affect us positively as a community? Please register by July 30th and register as a Democrat, because I can tell you, if you're still on the fence, you have not been listening. You have not been listening. Maybe you're scared. Maybe you're scared again that your voice might not be heard. These are different times. Sometimes you feel like you're all alone. But what I have discovered when I have been knocking on doors is people are happy to know that they're not alone. So the more of us spreading the word that there is a bigger group now that is resisting tyranny, people will feel empowered. That's what I do every Sunday, just to remind you that this woman is trying her very best to make sure that you know you have a choice. That's what I've been doing here for 20 years, trying to take care of business. So let's push forward. Push me towards the general election so that I can make sure all voices are heard regardless of party affiliation. I also learned during that town hall that it is hard for just one party or another to make headway. We need to empower the different organizations. I've been reading a lot about success stories in different states. Actually, one of my favorite articles dealt with homelessness. And God knows we have a lot of that here. I actually will have a pet project. I would like to make sure that I empower all these organizations. And one of my goals would be homelessness to zero. I have another project that has been brewing in my mind to get children off the streets. It's called SportsXchange. When my son was 13 years old, in middle school, he was chosen to be one of the young entrepreneurs. This was a selection throughout the community or the district. He was one of the 20, and he attended business school at the University of West Florida. And what it was is they encourage young people to think of projects. What if they had a project and people or businesses in the community would actually support them financially and otherwise? My son had a brilliant idea that he discussed with me because he was concerned that there are a lot of people who may have talent but are unable to play sports. Most of the time, they're unable to do that because they don't have the money to buy uniforms or pay for registration fees or transportation. Uniforms are expensive. Cleats are expensive if you play baseball. You could spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars, even thousands of dollars if you're in a travel ball team. So our idea was to have a community-wide effort, like an exchange, where if your uniform is still in good condition, we can exchange it with other teams or younger men or younger boys and allow them to play baseball and offer scholarship. Not only baseball, by the way, but even basketball, football, and soccer, or softball for girls. Our goal was to decrease the number of children who are who are in the streets because after school, they have nowhere to go. Most parents are working, and if you're 13 and above, you don't have daycare anymore. You may have latchkey, but a lot of these have hindrances, most especially financial. So one of the things that we did was establish SportsXchange of America. Unfortunately, we couldn't get it off its traction. By the way, he won third place and he was able to get funding, but which we promptly returned because he then went on to ninth grade and was involved in a travel team. And unfortunately, this didn't take off because we did not have enough funding and the time. But I thought about it the other day. We had a lot of interest in it. And one day, if given a chance, I would like to have a federal program, not just a daycare for the younger ones, but the ones who are out in the streets, the ones who feel like they have nowhere to go after school and get into trouble because they have no supervision. A lot of these young men and women have talent. They just don't have the resources. Those are the two that I'd like to put forth. Of course, my first priority has always been to make sure that everyone stays healthy, that no one ever has to be bankrupt or worry about medical bills because they lost their coverage. No one has to die in a wealthy nation like the United States of America because they can't afford their medication or they can't afford to see a physician. Your child should not be suffering from asthma because she can't buy an inhaler. Your child should not suffer from a congenital heart disease and die because she could not have that operation. That is unacceptable in a first world country like the United States of America. What would happen if we did not have the rules that allowed you to go to the emergency room if you had an ailment? By the way, think about that. When I was growing up in the Philippines, that was the situation I grew up with. If your child was sick, or if you were suffering from an ailment and you went to the emergency room, if you did not provide proof that you had the ability to pay, you could not get past the emergency room. Your child or your spouse can die in the parking lot. That would be unacceptable here in America right now. And yet people think they can get chemotherapy at the emergency room. Our lawmakers suggest that we don't need healthcare for everyone because you can just go to the emergency room. Who pays for that visit if you don't have insurance? We all do. People who pay premiums and people who are self-pay cannot afford to pay the full price of going to the emergency room to seek care. So my fellow Americans, there is a lot at stake in these midterm elections. I would like to conclude now by saying, let's stop whining as a nation. Our nation is sick. Our nation is improving economically only for the 1%. We're not feeling it at the bottom. There's still a lot of problems to be solved. And if we don't send the right people to Congress and to all the other elected positions, especially the governor here in Florida, we will continue to suffer. As a last note, because this is how important this is to me, we did not expand Medicaid here in Florida because our present governor rejected that mandate in the Affordable Care Act. As a result, there's about 1 million Floridians who should have had health care who don't have it. We rank number 47 out of 50 states in access to health care. Think about that. If there is a doctor in the house, who do you think knows health care? Come on, District 1. Our country is sick. Send a doctor to the house. Register by July 30th as a Democrat and vote for Jennifer Zimmerman for Congress in the primary. And I'll see you in the general. Thank you.